Hello everybody out there in Science Land. Today we will be doing our Unit 9 benchmark review. This is found on page 365 of your science book, and we are doing this that way you have a good review before you take your test tomorrow. I want to make sure you understand all the concepts that you've been reading about and taking quizzes about. So we're going to start with a vocabulary review, okay? So what is the type of organism that grass is? Grass is a producer because it makes their own food. It produces its own food. The type of organism that eats plants, that would be a consumer. It needs to eat something else because it doesn't make its own food. It consumes it. It eats it from something else. The type of organism that needs energy to live, that's both of them. Both producers and consumers need energy in order to live. All right. So number 4, Kadeem planted bean seeds in 4 jars with soil. He kept the jars in different places in his bedroom. For 3 weeks, he put the same amount of water into each jar. He drew the pictures to show the rest of his class how the plants looked. Based on the pictures, which plant was in the darkest place in Kadeem's bedroom? So when you think of the darkest place, it means it did not receive a lot of sunlight, and plants need sunlight in order to grow. So this is the shortest one, which means plant 2 got the least amount of sunlight, and it was in the darkest place in his room. Number 5. Julie put a plant under a growth light, watered the plant, and it grew well. Then there was a power failure at school for 1 week. When school reopened, Julie's plant was the same size, but many leaves were yellow. Which sentence best tells what happened to the plant? So if the power went out, that means that there wasn't a lot of light. So the plant got no light during the power failure. Therefore, it started getting yellow leaves. It didn't get enough energy to make its own food. Okay? So we're going to go to the second page now. Number 6, Kobe must write a report about how some plants or animals respond to seasonal changes during the fall. Which topic should Kobe choose for his presentation? So if he's talking about how animals and plants change according to the seasons and according to the seasonal changes, give me 1 second. Then one of the things that they do during that time, for example, how do they respond to seasonal changes? Which topic should he pick? Migration, okay? Moving on. 7, a food chain shows how living things depend on other living things for energy. Which of the following correctly shows how energy moves through a food chain? So you know that it must start with a producer, and then it goes to a consumer. So a producer starts here, grass. Then the chicken eats grass and the human eats the chicken. This one starts with grass too, which is a producer, but an oak tree does not eat grass. So therefore, this is the correct answer. Plants get energy from the sun. Plants without sunlight will not grow. How do plants use energy from the sun? So what do they use it for? They use it to make their own food. That's why they're a producer. You can make that little note right there. Okay. During the fall, many geese migrate to places with warm temperature. Why do geese migrate? Okay. Why do they look somewhere else? Because they need to look for food in places where it's actually going to be there. So they need to move somewhere else where it's warmer. So they look for food sources there. Number 10. During the cold winter season, Ellen knows that changes happen in nature. Which of the following happens when winter is very cold? Okay. So what do some animals do? They hibernate, like bears. They sleep and then wake up in the spring ready to go. They eat a lot of food before they hibernate so they can live off their own body fat, and then they wake up and start eating again in the spring when food is more available. 11. The picture below shows a food chain in the ocean. So we have green algae, which is being eaten by the small fish. A sea lion eats the small fish, and a shark will eat the sea lion. How does the small fish get energy? So how is this small fish being fed? Well, it eats the algae, because it is right before it in the food chain. All right, number 12. Mindy makes a poster about plants and animals during the spring. She wants to show how they respond to changes in the environment. Which poster does Mindy include on her poster? Which is this right here, because in the spring, that's when birds have their young and start feeding them, okay? This is fall, this is winter or fall, it's losing its leaves. Hibernation, that's an example of something that's happening in the winter. This is happening in the spring. 13. During the winter, a frog burrows in the mud to hibernate. What happens to the frog while it hibernates? Does it use less energy? Does it use more energy? The heartbeat speeds up, the body fat increases. The actual answer here is that it uses less energy because it's asleep. less energy. The body fat is actually decreasing because it's eating it up in order to survive during that dormant period. Study these branches in the pictures below. Which tree branch would you see during the summer season? So in the summer season, usually things are growing the fruit. So that would be right here. See here, they're budding, like in the spring. This is the fall, this is the winter. This is your summer right here. 15. Shanaz knows that many types of birds migrate in response to seasonal changes. During which 2 seasons will Shanaz see birds migrating? So when will she see them moving from one place to the other? She's going to see it in the spring and in the fall, because in the fall they're starting to leave and in the spring they're coming back. So that's when she's going to see them moving. 16. In the table below, Charlotte lists some ways that animals respond to seasonal changes in the environment. They can migrate, hibernate, reproduce, or gather food, which happen during the fall season. So which ones are happening in the fall season? In the fall season, they're either gathering food to stay put for the winter, or they are starting to migrate. So it's 1 and 4. They're either migrating or gathering food in the fall. 17. Study the pictures below of animals in different environments. Which activity happens during the cold winter season? The hibernation right here. They're sleeping it off. There you go. All right. So, last page. Bless you. In the table below, Adam lists reasons why birds migrate during the fall. Okay, so it's either to find food, to gather and store food, to find warm weather, to find a place to hibernate. Make a claim about which 2 reasons are correct. So the reasons that are correct, which 2 reasons are correct, would be to find food and to find warm weather. Okay, we know this because there might not be a lot of the food available in a cold winter month where they are, so they have to go somewhere else to find it, and that warm weather is going to help them stay alive instead of freezing temperatures. Okay, over here, a food chain like the one below shows how energy moves between things. The rabbit is eating something and the fox is eating the rabbit. Identify a living thing that could replace the question mark. So what could a rabbit eat? Well, a rabbit is a herbivore, which means they eat plants. So you can say something like a carrot, for example. Okay? Now over here, make a claim about what will happen to the tree as it goes through spring, summer, and fall. Well, during the buds will form on the branches during the spring, then the flowers will bloom, then the tree will grow fruit, and in the fall it will eventually lose its leaves and go through the same cycle again. So I hope you watched this video to help you review for the test that will be tomorrow, and I hope to talk to you later. Okay? Bye-bye.